Why Leonor's crown comes with sacrifice. The crown is often seen as a symbol of glory, gold, light, applause, ceremony. But for Princess Leonor, the heir to the throne of Spain, the crown is not just a symbol of prestige. It is a promise, and every promise demands sacrifice. When people look at Leonor, they see poise beyond her years. They see discipline, composure, elegance. They see the future queen. What they rarely see is the cost behind that composure, the quiet choices made long before cameras begin to flash. Because Leonor was not raised simply to live. She was raised to serve. Born into the royal household of Spanish royal family as the eldest daughter of King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia, her path was defined from the moment she entered the world. Unlike most children, she did not grow up asking, "What do I want to be?" Her life already had an answer. That answer was responsibility. And responsibility has weight. From a young age, Leonor's education was never ordinary. Every classroom was preparation. Every speech practice, every language lesson, every public appearance was a rehearsal for history. When she studied abroad at UWC Atlantic College in Wales, many praised her independence. But independence, for her, was not about freedom, it was about resilience. Imagine being a teenager who cannot fail publicly. Imagine knowing that every mistake could become a headline. Imagine understanding that your friendships, your words, your expressions, even your silences, all carry national symbolism. That is the invisible weight of the heir. The crown does not wait for adulthood. It trains you early. When Leonor delivered her first major public speech at the Princess of Asturias Awards, Spain did not just hear a young voice. They heard continuity. They heard stability. They heard a future anchored in preparation. But behind that steady voice was hours of rehearsal, pressure, expectation, the knowledge that she was speaking not just as herself, but as an institution. And institutions do not get nervous. People do. Sacrifice begins quietly. It begins with privacy. Leonor's teenage years have unfolded under scrutiny. Where most young people experiment with identity, make mistakes, fall in and out of friendships freely, she must do so within limits. The heir to the throne does not belong entirely to herself. She belongs to the nation. Even her military training, a defining chapter in her preparation, symbolizes more than personal growth. When she began her training at the General Military Academy in Zaragoza, Spain saw a young woman stepping into duty. It was tradition, it was strength, it was continuity, but it was also sacrifice. Military life demands discipline, endurance, humility. For Leonor, it also demanded stepping away from comfort, from familiarity, from the ease of palace life. She chose the harder road, because the crown requires credibility. A monarch cannot command respect without understanding service. And service is never light. There is also emotional sacrifice, the quiet separation between public role and private self. Leonor must constantly balance who she is with what she represents. She cannot react impulsively. She cannot speak casually about politics. She cannot choose sides in public debate. The future queen must remain above division. Neutrality is not silence. It is restraint. And restraint takes strength. There will be moments in her life when she will want to speak simply as Leonor. But she will often have to speak as the crown. And the crown speaks carefully. Many assume royalty means privilege without cost. But history teaches otherwise. The throne carries continuity across generations. It represents unity in times of political tension. In a constitutional monarchy like Spain's, the sovereign does not rule, but symbolizes stability. That symbolism must be protected. That protection requires personal sacrifice. Leonor understands that her life will never be entirely her own. Marriage, family, friendships, all will unfold within constitutional responsibility. Every choice will be weighed against national interest. Every public appearance will be measured for meaning. She will not just attend ceremonies. She will embody them. And yet, within that burden, there is purpose. Sacrifice without purpose is suffering. Sacrifice with purpose is legacy. What makes Leonor's journey compelling is not that she was born into duty, but that she appears to accept it with awareness. Her composure does not seem forced. Her presence does not seem reluctant. She walks with the understanding that the crown she will one day wear is not an ornament. It is a commitment. Her parents have been deliberate in preparing her. King Felipe VI, having witnessed the complexities of monarchy firsthand, understands the scrutiny his daughter faces. Queen Letizia, coming from outside traditional aristocracy, understands the modern lens through which royalty is judged. Together, they have raised Leonor not only to inherit a throne, but to earn it. That is another sacrifice. earning what others assume you already possess. Leonor must continuously demonstrate competence, fluency in languages, understanding of Spanish history, awareness of global affairs, emotional intelligence in public settings, strength in military formation, grace in cultural ceremonies. Excellence is not optional, it is expected, but perhaps the greatest sacrifice is time. Time that could have been ordinary. Time that could have been anonymous. Time that could have been private. Instead, her youth has been structured, guided, observed, and yet, in her expressions, in the calm gaze, in the deliberate posture, there is something else: acceptance. Not resignation, acceptance. She knows the weight, she carries it anyway. The phrase, heavy burden, does not imply weakness. It implies gravity, something significant, something that matters. A crown is heavy not because of gold, but because of history. Centuries of tradition rest upon it. The hopes of a nation. The memory of challenges overcome. The need for unity in uncertain times. Leonor's sacrifice is not dramatic. It is steady. It is waking up each day aware that your actions reflect more than yourself. It is choosing discipline when comfort would be easier. It is stepping forward when retreat would be simpler. It is growing up in public, and still managing to remain grounded. There will be moments ahead when scrutiny intensifies. When debates about monarchy resurface. When political climates shift. In those moments, the future queen must remain constant. Constancy is a sacrifice, because the world changes quickly. But the crown must remain steady. And perhaps that is why Leonor's journey resonates beyond Spain. In a world that often prioritizes personal freedom above obligation, her path represents something different: commitment to continuity. Not everyone would choose that path. But she did not choose it. She accepted it. And acceptance can be powerful. One day, when she stands as queen, people will see ceremony. They will see tradition. They will see elegance. But they may not see the years of preparation. The quiet nights of study. The discipline of military drills. The emotional restraint practiced again and again. They may not see the sacrifices made long before the crown touches her head. But those sacrifices will be there. Shaping her. Strengthening her. Defining her. Why does Leonor's crown come with sacrifice? Because leadership without sacrifice is performance. Because symbolism without discipline is empty. Because history, without preparation, is fragile. The heir to Spain's throne is learning that true authority is not inherited lightly, it is carried carefully. And heavy things, when carried with dignity, become symbols of strength. The crown is not light. It was never meant to be. It is meant to remind the wearer that leadership is service. That power is responsibility. That privilege demands sacrifice. And as Princess Leonor continues her journey toward becoming queen, the world watches not just for moments of brilliance but for signs of readiness. In every disciplined step, in every composed speech, in every act of service, the sacrifice becomes visible, not as loss, but as preparation. The burden is heavy, but so is the legacy. And Leonor carries both. If the first part of Leonor's story is about recognizing the weight of the crown, the second part is about understanding what that weight is shaping her into. Because sacrifice does not only take something away, it builds something stronger in its place. For Princess Leonor, the burden of future queenship is not designed to limit her, it is designed to refine her. Every structured day, every formal engagement, every carefully chosen word is shaping a leader who must one day stand above politics, above division, and above personal impulse. The transformation is deliberate. When Leonor stepped into military training at the General Military Academy in Zaragoza, it was more than tradition. It was symbolism rooted in the constitutional framework of Spain. As future commander-in-chief, she must understand the armed forces not as an abstract institution but as a lived experience. Early mornings, strict routines, physical endurance, hierarchy, team cohesion, these are not ceremonial details. They are character builders. In uniform, she is not simply the heir. She is a cadet, and that distinction matters. Because the respect she will command in the future cannot rest solely on inheritance, it must rest on credibility. Credibility requires humility, and humility requires stepping into spaces where no one applauds you for your title. This is where the sacrifice deepens. Imagine trading comfort for discipline by choice. Imagine choosing to be evaluated not as royalty, but as a trainee. Every instruction followed, every test completed, every march executed under the same standards as her peers. That is not performance. That is preparation. And preparation demands consistency. Beyond the military, there is intellectual sacrifice. Leonor's education has been intentionally international. Her time at UWC Atlantic College exposed her to diverse cultures, political perspectives, and global challenges. That exposure is not accidental. A modern monarch must understand a globalized world. She must engage with leaders across continents, speak multiple languages fluently, and represent Spain in diplomatic contexts that require nuance. Fluency in English, confidence in public address, familiarity with European institutions, awareness of history and economics. This is not the education of a private citizen. It is the training of a national symbol. And symbolism requires depth. There is also emotional endurance, perhaps the most invisible sacrifice of all. In public appearances alongside King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia, Leonor must observe before she leads. She must learn when to speak and when silence carries more dignity. She must understand body language, timing, protocol, and the subtle art of reassurance. A constitutional monarchy survives not through authority, but through trust. Trust is fragile, and it is earned slowly. That means Leonor's future role will require constant awareness. Every handshake, every state visit, every national address must convey steadiness. In times of political uncertainty, the monarch becomes an anchor, but anchors do not drift. They hold firm. To hold firm, Leonor must cultivate emotional discipline far beyond her years. She cannot respond impulsively to criticism. She cannot engage in public disputes. She cannot express partisan opinions. The crown demands neutrality, and neutrality is not passive. It is powerful restraint. There will be moments in her future where Spain faces division, economic challenges, regional tensions, political polarization. In those moments, citizens will look to the monarchy not for solutions, but for stability. Stability is psychological. It reassures people that institutions endure beyond individual leaders. Leonor's sacrifice, then, is learning to embody that endurance. Her generation is different. She belongs to a digital era where everything is recorded, shared, dissected. Every expression can become viral. Every movement can be analyzed. That reality adds another layer to the burden. Previous monarchs faced newspapers. She faces the internet, which means her composure must be constant, not occasional. She must understand optics in real time. She must remain grounded in an environment where perception spreads instantly. But here is where the narrative shifts. Sacrifice is not only about what she gives up. It is also about what she gains. She gains resilience. She gains clarity of purpose. She gains an understanding of service that most never experience. While others search for identity, hers is anchored in continuity. While others define success through personal ambition, her success will be measured through national cohesion. That clarity can be empowering. Because purpose simplifies choices, Leonor does not wake up wondering what direction her life will take. She wakes up refining the direction already set, ensuring she is worthy of it. And worthiness is not automatic. It is cultivated. The example set by King Felipe VI is instructive. His reign has emphasized transparency, institutional reform, and modernization of the monarchy. Leonor observes this evolution closely. She is not inheriting a static institution, she is inheriting one that must adapt to survive. That adaptation will require innovation balanced with tradition. And balancing opposites is its own sacrifice. She must preserve centuries of history while speaking to a new generation. She must respect ceremonial formality while appearing relatable. She must honor protocol while embodying modern leadership. Few roles demand such precision. Yet she steps forward consistently. Each National Day appearance, each award ceremony, each cultural engagement strengthens public familiarity. Over time, familiarity builds confidence. And confidence builds legitimacy. Legitimacy is the invisible foundation of a constitutional monarchy. Without it, symbolism weakens. With it, symbolism stabilizes a nation. That is the long-term vision behind her preparation. The heavy burden is not meant to weigh her down permanently. It is meant to train her muscles, intellectual, emotional, institutional, to carry something larger than herself. There will be personal sacrifices ahead that the public cannot predict. Relationships that must withstand scrutiny. Family life lived under observation. Decisions influenced not only by emotion, but by national interest. But the core truth remains. The crown does not demand perfection. It demands dedication. Leonor's journey so far suggests she understands that distinction. She does not appear driven by spectacle. She appears driven by readiness. And readiness transforms sacrifice into strength. As Spain continues to watch her evolution from princess to future queen, the narrative of heavy burden slowly changes tone. It becomes less about weight and more about capacity. Because the true measure of a leader is not whether the responsibility is heavy. It is whether they grow strong enough to carry it. And in every disciplined step, every measured word, every act of preparation, Leonor is demonstrating that growth. The sacrifice continues, but so does the strengthening. And that is what makes her story compelling, not just as royalty, but as a portrait of responsibility embraced rather than avoided. The burden is heavy, but it is shaping a queen. In the end, the story of heavy burden is not about pressure. It is about transformation, because a crown, by itself, is only metal in history. What gives it meaning is the character of the person who wears it. And for Princess Leonor, that character is being shaped long before the coronation day ever arrives. Sacrifice has become her silent teacher. It has taught her discipline when comfort would be easier. It has taught her restraint when reaction would feel natural. It has taught her composure in a world that rewards impulsiveness. And through that process, something powerful is forming, not just a future queen, but a steady presence for Spain. One day, when she stands as monarch, people will see ceremony. They will hear an anthem. They will witness tradition carried forward. But what they may not immediately see are the years of invisible preparation, the early mornings in uniform, the hours of study, the careful listening beside King Felipe VI, the quiet strength modeled by Queen Letizia. They may not see the teenage years shaped by responsibility. They may not see the moments of self-discipline chosen over spontaneity. They may not see the personal freedoms quietly surrendered for a national role. But those sacrifices will be present in her voice. They will be present in her posture. They will be present in her steadiness during uncertain times. Because true leadership is not forged in comfort. It is forged in commitment. The heavy burden of the crown is not meant to diminish her youth, it is meant to deepen her resolve. It is not designed to suppress her identity, it is designed to refine it. Every expectation placed upon her has been an invitation to rise higher, to grow stronger, to think beyond herself. And she has answered that invitation with consistency. There will always be debates about monarchy. There will always be shifting political climates, generational changes, and evolving social expectations. But what endures in any constitutional system is the need for stability, a symbol that stands firm when everything else feels uncertain. That is what she is becoming. Not just a ruler in title, but a guardian of continuity. And continuity requires sacrifice. So when we ask why Leonor's crown comes with sacrifice, the answer becomes clear, because the crown is not about privilege. It is about service. It is about placing duty above preference. It is about understanding that leadership is less about being seen and more about being steady. The burden is heavy because it carries history. It is heavy because it carries expectation. It is heavy because it carries the hopes of millions. But it is also heavy because it matters. And perhaps the most compelling part of her journey is this: she does not appear crushed by the weight. She appears strengthened by it. The sacrifices have not taken away her presence. They have sharpened it. They have not dimmed her future. They have clarified it. One day, the crown will rest upon her head. When that moment comes, it will not be the beginning of her preparation. It will be the culmination of it. Years of discipline will stand behind that single image. Years of restraint will echo in that single oath. Years of quiet growth will support that single step forward. The heavy burden will remain. But so will the strength built to carry it. And that is the true meaning of her journey, not a story of pressure, but a story of purpose embraced. The crown is heavy, but she is becoming ready. And that readiness is what will define her reign.